another music review brought to you by beer. Now, we're here with the guys in 10 years. You guys are in Nashville. I don't think you can get 21st Amendment, can you? You ever seen that?
We're actually, we can't see that on our screen.
Oh.
Go to this. Yeah.
Oh, there.
21st Amendment Brewery. They're out of San Francisco.
Yeah, I think they're seeing the screen like that.
Yeah.
I've never.
Plus, we're like split screen, so we can only see half of you.
It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird. Hey, Brian, can you introduce everybody in the band? My buddy Brian on our left, your right. I don't know. The guy in the camo. I can barely see him.
Yes. So I'm Brian. Hello.
Hello.
We have Jesse, lead vocals. Matt Wantland, my counterpart on the guitar. Mr. Kyle Mayer back here, who is playing the beautiful drums. These new acrylic drums that you can barely see in the background. And then Mr. Chad Huff on bass back here behind me.
Okay.
Awesome.
You've got us all. Yes.
Awesome. Now, Brian, I got to ask you, man. 10 years, and then all of a sudden, I'm seeing on your Facebook post you're like a real estate mogul or something.
Oh, man.
What happened?
Gotta eat. Basically, I came home in 2013, took a break from the band, and just had to figure something else out in the meantime. So my wife and I had invested a little bit in real estate, and I had an interest, so it made sense. Got my license, and we have a company. We do that. She helps me run it, while I'm gone. But yeah, I mean, so that's definitely a thing.
Well, we're in Reno, so it's a pretty damn hot real estate market here. I've often thought about going the exact same route because I, like you, have a habit of eating on occasion, and this radio thing doesn't pay a whole hell of a lot. It's probably a little bit more steady than being in a band like you guys, but it still didn't pay a lot of jack, man. I want to be able to retire one of these years.
First year in real estate, financially was a shock to the system because I'm used to band dude pay, and so real world pay is different.
I hope it was for the positive, but you've got a musical bug. I mean, you've been the drummer, you've been the guitar player, you kind of switch back and forth. When we see 10 years out on the road here in the very short future, what's your position going to be in the band, Brian?
Guitar now. Okay.
And I have to say the vocals, once again, just amazing on this record. I mean, we don't have a Tool record out right now, and I don't know how often you got referred to, or the kind of the correlation between Maynard just with your vocal stylings.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't grow up listening. So definitely the influence is there, and I think just the tonally, I share some of the same similarities. But the guy's very intriguing to dig into his brain anyway, and everything he's gotten into. But to be put on anywhere near the same pedestal as that guy is I'm not worthy, but thank you.
Absolutely. Let's get in the record. The first song is called The Messenger. It's new from 10 years, and you're hearing it here first. Okay, so I got to ask, what comes first, the music or the lyrics, and what was the inspiration for Messenger, or do they kind of gel together?
Lots of times I'll just save up melody ideas or lyrical ideas, pieces of poetry, and just like a reserve, a little notepad or a little recorder. But for the most part, to marry the two, the music has to have a good solid structure. And the Messenger actually came about by us scratching some stuff in the studio and having to just start fresh with a new song. I think that was like the newest one.
That's the last thing.
That was the last one to come together.
Wow.
And it was based almost a very old school idea that the band had kind of messed around with a long time ago. So
we had a song from our first independent release way back in the day, and it had a certain groove and a certain feel to it, and it had the energy that we needed in this last track for the record, the last one that we were going to write.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically just kind of took that groove idea and wrote music to it. Yeah, we ripped ourselves off basically, and those melodies, I think those melodies just came up driving from Knoxville back to Nashville to the studio.
Yep.
And for some reason, the word message and messenger just kept popping into my head. And then I kind of ran that by Jesse. And then next thing you know, that whole thing was done. So,
yeah, he had a jumping off point and said, if you like this, take it. And it was a cool, it happened really organically. It wasn't a struggle like some of them.
Okay, and let's talk about the first single. It's cut number 2 on the album. It's called Novocaine. What's the background or the inspiration for writing a song like Novocaine?
Well,
is it a societal thing?
Lyrically, it came from me just sitting there. How many albums deep now? This is 6th studio album, and just writing over 100 songs, and just sometimes you just become numb to life and the repetition of it. And there was a point just me sitting by myself listening to the music and going, man, I really like everything that's going on, but am I past my prime and my greatest achievements, and can I make anything cool? And it almost was like, I'm just going to embrace the fact that sometimes you feel numb, and that's sort of where the original idea vocally came from. Musically, Chad had a riff that you showed it to us last second. We did a lot of writing and pre-production in Knoxville and then on the road and stuff, but that was the last one we demoed out to show to Nick. And we didn't even have, it was just a verse and a chorus. It wasn't even a full song yet. Because we were like, well, we're not going to do the entire song if no one likes it, because it was a little different for us.
Okay. So from that to this, it's Novocaine. Sorry, I know you're wanting to say something.
No, I'm not. I'm good.
With dirt on your knees and blood in your teeth, you want life to lead you to believe in something, but it's coming. The numbing. So we dive on into the deeper end for a blissful kiss from Judas' lips, but it's coming. Oh yeah, the numbing. Supernova, your daddy's dad can be. You won't feel a thing. Sleepwalking, your daddy's dad can be. You won't feel a thing.
Wow. Yeah, I'm digging it, man. It's interesting when Brian sent me the album to kind of preview. It was the same day I was going to the dentist to have a filling refilled, so the song had a new pertinence to it. And I got to the dentist. Okay, quick aside story.
You said I need some Supernovocaine.
No, I said I want the laughing gas. And so I'm in the chair, and I said, you guys use laughing gas, right? And they said, yeah, of course we do. And then all of a sudden, one of these little old ladies came over and says, oh, you got to sign this. I said, well, what am I signing? She says, well, this is for the $275 that your insurance won't cover so that we can use the laughing gas on you. And I'm saying, man, I should have just stopped by the head shop, picked up some whippets on the way down or something. I don't know. So I did not get the laughing gas.
No laughing gas for you.
Sorry, say again. Say again. Yeah, I didn't catch any of that. It's sometimes when we're talking,
there's a lag.
There's a lag. Yeah, the microphone cuts off on your end. So I'm going to give you a countdown. 1.
He says that kind of price is like a brain damage.
Oh man, it's horrible. You know what someone needs to write a song about the dangers of going to the doctor because it'll kill your pocketbook. All right, let's move on to cut number 3. It's Burnout from 10 Years. Check it out.
confused for so long.
An ode, a nod to Led Zeppelin, Dazed and Confused for so long?
Yeah.
Of course.
Singing along, you're singing along to the same old songs. You've been praised and abused by the amount.
Okay, and I want to pause again right here. Listening to this song, I was thinking about what the late, great Tom Petty said once in an interview when he was working with the Heartbreakers, where he said, the song is crap if the bass and drums don't get into this hypnotic, like, this together. And I've noticed that kind of common theme. There's quite a few songs in this new album where it's the bass and drums coming right off the top at the very beginning of the song that just kind of hypnotize and get you into the song. Was that done purposely?
Well, I think, Chad, when Brian moved around from different instrument here and there, Chad has been with us since, 2012 on guitar. And then when we decided to shuffle the band members around again, Chad graciously moved to bass, and the way that he wrote it on bass is so much different than what we're used to as a traditional bass player, that they've got such cool groove. And then the rhythm section between these two guys is just, they've got such a groove to them. So
It's super solid.
Yeah, we wanted that to be fat and just big and fat, and then let the guitars move out of the way a little bit once in a while. Make some room for that. I think the theme of the record musically was lean and more deliberate. And I think giving the drums and bass really a place to move to the front here and there really helps that, that dynamic. And guitar-wise, we didn't go crazy like we usually do, where we overthink and overlayer and overproduce. Right now, really the record is, I have a part, Matt has a part, and that's it. We didn't go for this big, huge cinematic feel this time around.
Crosses and crowns you lost and found, echoing through the sound. Their standing ovation drowns you out. You burn out so bright, but you never saw the light. No, never saw the light. You let life pass on by. No, you never realized you got blinded by the light.
I love it when a song gets right to the meat of the chorus, like a minute into it. So nice work on the song Burnout. Moving on to cut number 4, Catacombs. Explain Catacombs a little bit. Where were you at when you wrote the song?
About skulls and shit.
Well, of course.
I stay on stage every night.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They just say it's about skulls and shit because it's called Catacombs. But it really, the lyrical content is just about how it's just our insatiable human consumption. Like, we just have to, we're consumers. We just keep going and going and going. And the first line of the song is, make us a new muse. Our golden gods are old news. And then it says, dig up those old bones because these new clones have no rhythm or soul. It's like,
Did you say dig up those old phones or bones?
bones. Dig up those bones. Yeah.
I got my new phone.
Yeah.
Could have been phones. Talking about consumerism. Now, do you find that you guys are world travelers? Do you find that consumerism to the level that we have here in North America is the same all over the world, or most of the places you've been?
Not everywhere. I think, of course, when there's a bigger divide of poverty and wealth, there's not. Like, when you go to certain parts of South America, it's a different ballgame. But then, like, going to Japan, everything is just space. It's like going and hanging out with the Jetsons or something. They're just way. So it's like, it's human nature to, and I think that with the way technology is just rapidly growing and growing so fast that it keeps us wanting the next big thing. We can't be content with just what we have at the moment.
Let's take a listen to it. Catacombs from 10 years.
Make us a new muse. Our golden gods are old news. Dig up those old bones. These new clones have no rhythm or soul. Rhythm or soul. Tripping on the heels of kings and queens, fed cheap thrills and
I really like the different time sequence in this song. It's not your typical 4/4 time. I like the fact that you guys switch it up, and it lends a lot of complexity. I'll be honest. I've heard a couple albums, and I'm not super familiar with everything you guys have done or your history. And so
I'm kind of the
for me
music
here-
guy, and Andy, while he's a musician, he's got a regular day job. He actually makes money for a living.
I actually work for a living.
Yes. You got to give us.
Right, but I've been a drummer my whole life, so I appreciate this song, especially for the rhythm.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's move on to cut number 5 on the new 10 Years album. It's called Ghosts. Check it out.
Can you please slow down your motions? They're causing commotion. I can't keep up with where you're going anymore. Lay down dead roses you've been holding and rest your shoulders. You can't carry this cross you've chosen anymore. You're running through the motions of the emotionless. You're running through the motions of the emotionless. Stop trying to show how to save our souls. It takes time to know how to live as ghosts.
Now that almost sounds like it's like it comes from a personal space. Is that written for somebody or with somebody in mind?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to actually divulge who it is, but
That's all right.
We grow up in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've grown up here my whole life, and you find a lot of closed-minded people with very narrow thinking that those type of people become the most judgmental, and they can't open their mind to other possibilities of what this world has to offer. And it's the line in the chorus is, "Stop trying to show how to save our souls because it takes dying to know how to live as a ghost." It's like you can't. It's someone spending their whole life preparing for something that we don't know till we get there. So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Interesting. All right, moving on to cut number 6, Blood Red Sky from 10 Years. Check it out.
We guide our hearts through love and war like riders on the storm.
Riders on the Storm. See, now there's a Doors reference. So
There you go. Nice.
got
I like how
Zeppelin
you
in
brought it
there.
all
We
in.
got the Doors.
Should
We
check.
need the Stones, Aerosmith,
Yeah.
and
Floyd.
Floyd.
Floyd, there you
Okay,
go.
all right.
Searching for the shore. What have I learned? The thicker the skin, the deeper the scar. When the blood was shed in vain, all for nothing. What have I learned? Today fades into yesterday. Tomorrow stays forever a day away. We follow the wise and lead the blind, leaving footprints in the sand. A walking contradiction. What have I learned? I am barely alive, slowly treading water. I am barely alive, reaching my hand down to you. Drag me out of the water.
Yeah, it's a very acrobatic song. There's a lot of different stuff going on in there. Something strikes me, or something tells me that none of you guys were big fans of pop music necessarily growing up. Is that right at all?
Probably pretty close to right, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you count the Beatles as pop, I grew up on that. So
No, the Beatles were kind of innovators. They almost started the whole rock pop movement, especially from a vocal standpoint.
Sure.
You know, but they were all amazing musicians. But does simpleton music bore you guys easily? Because everything I've ever heard from 10 Years has not necessarily been, a 1-3-5, easily duplicatable song. It's all so unique. There's a lot of ear candy in there that you find the more you listen to the record, more stuff pops out. I mean, and Wasteland's still one of the most played rock songs at rock radio in the country after all these years.
Crazy.
I don't think we're bored by it. It's just not something we can do. This is about as simple as we get.
Yeah, if you think that this is
Yeah.
it's still complex, this is as much as we strip down. We stripped this one down so much that we're looking at each other like, is this too simple?
You know
So-
what? And I get that, but it's still very, very interesting. I wanted to ask you, Brian, did you find trying to duplicate these things in the live setting too cumbersome? Is that why you guys decided to really strip it down and get raw with this new record?
I don't think it was necessarily because of the live context. I think really it was a big part of why the record is a bit more lean is Nick, the producer Nick Raskulinecz. Really, I mean, from his first meeting with us, he had the vision for this record as being a very abbreviated and deliberate version of us, and he didn't allow us to overthink, and we're really good at doing that.
And so it was difficult for some of us.
We could layer guitars and vocals all day long because we come from that. Obviously you've caught the references, old Pink Floyd and stuff, where we like finding the little things, all the background noises and little tricks, but we just tried to make it straight out.
Yeah, he was challenging us to just strip it down and let the quality of the song itself speak for itself, instead of like, we've done a lot of ethereal journey traveling songs. So he wanted us to challenge us to just do straightforward rock songs.
Which in turn do lend themselves to the live context really well, because this record we'll be able to play it front to back and it's going to be presented very close to the record.
Yeah.
Whereas the last couple records where we went to La La Land a little bit, with production and there's just stuff swirling all over the place, that is tough. That is tough to bring alive in a live setting.
Sure. All right, let's get on to cut number 7 on the album called Phantoms from 10 Years. Again, bass and drums, driving.
Absolutely.
What are you looking at your watch? Is there anywhere you need to be that's more important than this right now?
Not at all. I just got a call. I'm just muting the call. That's all.
Do I live? Do I die? From the heart or the mind? It's hard to walk the line between each side. If I lose my faith, have I sealed my fate? Answers change, but the questions stay the same. On and on, who's right and wrong comes down to which side you're on. We're going nowhere, nowhere too fast. We hear the same frequency, but what are you trying to say? 'Cause we feel the same energy, but what are you dying to be? 'Cause nothing is ever what it seems.
All right. Phantoms from 10 Years. Yeah, I also hear a little bit of almost like a Chevelle in there with the bass and drums. And I love the guys in Chevelle, but you're talking about simpleton stuff. Occasionally seeing a band like Chevelle live, I get bored easily. And it's not a strike against the band. Some people really dig that stuff, especially if you're smoking the bong. But I like to get a little bit more heady with it. And I apologize, this right here that I was sniffing up my nose is Old English Snuff, brought to you by Packard's, found at MrSnuff.com. So
Shameless plug.
Don't freak out about it. The viewers of Two Dudes Reviews know it well because we actually do reviews on this damn stuff. So tell us about Phantoms.
I mean, it's another one of those with the bass is very prevalent in it.
Well, wait. So this is how Phantoms began, though, right? I was sitting at home. I had I recorded an acoustic guitar with me humming the chorus melody, and I sent it to everybody, and they were all like, "No, that's not very cool. It sounds like church music." And then I don't even know why we started doing it after that, because at first no one was into it.
Yeah.
Well, I think I stumbled on the intro kind of chord because I was doing I'm a big Chili Peppers John Frusciante fan, so I got a bunch of clanging, like shangy chords under there, and kind of like I started making weird chords instead of just a normal straight chord that gives it a little more dimension in the chorus than it had. So that I'm pleased myself enough to be like, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, guitar, drums. What do you, Mark? What do you have more fun playing, or are they kind of equal? Because I've done guitar, drums, and bass, but never drums in a band. But guitar and bass in bands, and they both have their own distinct nuances. However, playing the same songs over and over, night after night after night, on bass to me just got a little bit repetitive. I really love getting behind the guitar so I could mix it up, and there was more to focus on.
For me, it's a totally different expression. So, I really loved drums. I loved being able to be back there and be hidden by things, and I really felt like I was in my own world and able to. I mean, that's an instrument where every night I would play different fills. You make them up on the spot, and you just kind of like you let your emotion dictate what happened back there. On guitar, you do have a little bit more of a box that you're in, because you have to play certain chords at certain times. But I don't know. I like them both. I love playing guitar because that expressiveness, is it's a different emotion, and I like having the ability to somehow express that emotion in a way that is. I mean, it's very different than drumming, because drumming, I was more barbaric and primal. That was my. I don't have the technical chops on the drums that Kyle does.
Yeah.
So I just would hit them hard and hope for the best.
And he beats the shit out of the drum.
And maybe what kind of diet plan you're on, because you can diet much better on the kit than you can with the six strings.
You need less of a diet on the kit.
That's right. All the six strings do is give you back problems if it's a heavy Les Paul.
Yeah. But I walk with a hunch, man.
I get you. I feel you, brother. I feel you. All right. Let's move right along to cut number 8, Vampires from 10 Years.
We can stay here with the vampires of our youth. They'll drag you to your doom. You can't trust them, they don't love you. You can't keep them close enough to make a move. They won't stop till the last drop is draining out of you. Running out of light and out of time. The shadow crawl across the sky. These animals won't stop running wild, and no one here gets out alive.
Nice. And I just realized something. I mean, usually when I hear a really heavy rock album, I think, oh, Christmas songs. But this one, I'm looking at it, I'm like, Vampires, Phantoms, Blood Red Sky, Ghosts, albums coming out around Halloween. It's a Halloween record. Right? Is the album going to be serviced with like a special 10 years mask or something? Maybe everybody gets the dreads they used to have, Jesse. Everybody can rock the Jesse Dreads cap.
Yeah. Bag of candy corn. Because everybody.
I like that too.
Here's a story about that song, Vampires. After we did the record, we were all done, and then Nick went to Seattle to do the new Alice in Chains record. And he texted me. They were taking a break in the studio, and we just got the mastered version back. So he played it for Jerry Cantrell and Sean Kinney, and Vampires is their favorite song on the record.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure. Don't screw up this song.
None
Ryan.
whatsoever.
I find myself listening to it a lot when I have. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I like the song too. Screw it. Yeah.
So
Been listening to it a lot.
to reverse way back to cut number 2 on the album, just saw the video for the song Novocaine, and I wanted to ask all you guys, but especially you, Brian, just because I know a little bit of your family history. How has your wife, your child? I mean, it had to be, I would assume, a bit of a relief to get off the road and not have to, as a wife of a rock star, deal with dad or husband being gone for months at a time. How receptive have they been to you jumping back into the fold and doing this again, man? It's got to be pressure, right?
I mean, it's tough on the kids. I mean, obviously it's tough on the whole family, but my wife, she's honestly the biggest reason why I ended up. I mean, she told me once our youngest daughter was born really prematurely, and she was in the hospital for on and off for the first year of her life. And so music was not even on the radar at all. That was totally, I wasn't thinking about that whatsoever. Then when Jesse, talked to me about coming back, and just so happened to work out that my daughter's health was better. And so my wife was like, hey, you miserable dog, get back on the road and do what you love, because, she knows me well enough to know that being in music and doing this is just, at this point, it's just who I am. So it sucks to be away from them, but I couldn't ask for a more supportive family, so I'm lucky.
Now, was that your wife and child doing the because I saw cameos from all you guys in the video. Was that them in the video?
Oh, dude, we were pushing. We have a 9-year-old who's like in the background, and then we were pushing our 3 and 2-year-olds in a double stroller in the video. So yeah, it was like we were totally in soccer momville.
That video's a trip. I don't want any of the drugs that guy was on. Everything he touches turns gray, man. It's freaky. All right, let's. What's that? You tried that probably in Reno once.
Yeah. You don't want to be part of this, do we?
Let's move on. Cut number 9 is Halos. I was going to say, these guys are battered to the bone when there's a choir of angels singing behind them, which we've heard quite a bit through this video.
All through the video. Something's going on back there.
Yeah, we're going
to... Say that again, Jesse? We missed it.
So we plan on bringing an entire choir on tour with our inflated budget.
Are you guys here? $2 a day per diem. Are you guys hearing the band that's playing downstairs?
Yeah, a little bit.
We're actually going to borrow Corey Feldman's Angels. So I heard they needed a gig. So,
have you seen Corey Feldman's stuff?
No. I think I saw a picture of Corey Feldman with some angel chicks,
dude,
and I couldn't bring myself to watch it.
It's like watching a car crash, man. You don't want to slow down.
Good for him. Do it up.
Yeah, you don't want to be a looky-loo, but you got to be a looky-loo. Anyways, let's get to the song.
Just take your precious hands away. They're blocking your view of freedom right beyond your cage. It's a fragile house of cards you've made to shadow the truth for fear of change. I read right through your eyes like stones thrown through windows. I cut my feet walking on the eggshells of your stability. I cut my feet walking. Falling is flying if you can let go. In these halos and black holes, living or dying, how do you know? In these halos and black holes.
I like seeing the band in the background doing the air drums, because Andy's very reserved today. He spent a hard day at work, and then he spent $28,000 on his car driving over here today. He's a little stressed out. I apologize for that. But usually that would be this guy right here, and I've had I've had to tell him to stop because, again, as we set up the video, and I don't know if this was on camera or not, but
What?
I have this janky-ass CD player here and this Burn, and so when Andy gets into a video, he was always pounding his foot like that, and all of a sudden the song would be click, 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 and I'm like, Andy, will you stop it, man? You got to stop that shit.
I'm sitting on the foot now.
He's the guy.
Brian, Brian's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way to go. All right, cut number 10, 10 years, lucky you.
Put on my Sunday best. Not sure how I got into this mess. He said, son, are you ready to repent? But I just don't know if my lips will let go and give back control to my tongue. For a confession, lucky you. I'll tell you what you wanna hear. Beware, beware. I'll show you what you wanna feel. Beware, beware.
Wow, very tasty, man. I dig that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a lot of vocals in the background. Jesse, did you do all the vocal overlays, or are you guys going to be singing on tour?
Usually I do like all the stacked vocals and stuff, but this time Nick, trying to take us out of our comfort zone, he really went after Brian to sing harmonies and counters on some stuff. So Brian's on a lot of this, more so than probably any of our records. I think that our independent, you had some vocal stuff on.
I think it's a nice separation listening to you guys sing though, because your voice is so distinct. When you do some of the harmonies, sometimes it can start to blend.
Runs
Like
together.
hearing the two of you against each other kind of creates another dimension that's not usually there.
Yeah, Nick wanted me to actually have my voice on this record, to where on the last couple records when I would sing harmonies, I would literally basically try to conceal that it was me, and I would try to sound like Jesse, and then it's blasted with effects, so you can't really tell. But this time around, Nick wanted to play off the fact that we have very different vocal tones, and utilize that.
Now, with such a long break between albums, what have you guys been listening to in your spare time, and has any of that influenced how you approach this particular album? Maybe you can name drop a few bands that are on your topmost played at home or in your car stereo or whatever.
I stick with the classics. I mean, I literally don't listen to anything new, I don't think.
I don't really either.
I listen to, if it's new, it's a little bit more obscure. A band that I stumbled across that I thought put out a really, really great record is a band called Oh Brother.
And that record is
Yeah,
awesome.
they have a new album out that's it's so different. Like I'm the guy that likes to venture into the more obscure, weird, ethereal stuff all the time. Like it's hard for me to just listen to straightforward anything. I like the cerebral aspect of a lot of things. So unless it's my good old fashioned New York hip hop, then I like it straightforward.
I was surprised. Yeah, there's no rapping on the record.
There's no rap on the record.
All right.
Listen to the last track yet.
We haven't.
Wait, we got one more.
One more to go. And only 11 songs. How many songs did you guys have to sacrifice on the sacrificial lamb table for this? Quite a few. I mean, did you roll into the album writing process with 100 songs and scratch it all the way back to 11?
But I think we showed up at Nick's with at least 25 or so, right?
Ideas, not full-fledged songs. We had at least 25 different ideas, but the songs that made it to the record were torn apart and reworked so many times from the original creation of them that it's really to hear the demo version and then hear the final result. Some of them are drastically different. For me, it almost took a minute to get used to it, because you get so married to the things we've created within
Demoitis.
Yeah, demoitis is what we nickname it. You get married to the creation you have for so long, and then you take it to a guy and he just tears it up in front of your face and says, all right, now let's do it again.
Yeah, Nick wasn't afraid to tell us that one of our ideas sucked. I mean, we heard it often. So
I've been there.
Good.
But really, I mean, I think the writing started, from completion, from beginning to completion, probably a year when the whole process first started to actually having the mastered record,
Yeah, it was
a long time.
About a year worth of writing, just on and off in between tours, and just collecting pieces of songs and then putting it all together.
Very cool. Last song on the album is called Insomnia from 10 Years. Check it out.
The filament fades, thoughts decay, spinning around in place, keeping me slightly out of my own reach. Never awake, never asleep, forever together alone, swallowed in a sea of indigo. Lay down, let your body sleep, safe and sound. Flee from the light of the day. So far from the weight of gravity. Sweet surrender to the grave.
What is your definition for success after the whole cycle is over? When you guys look back on all this, to say, "Wow, we did what we hoped to do," or we didn't quite hit that mark?
You always just want to be somewhat happy or okay with what you've created. At least I do. I can't create something that I just absolutely don't like, because then it just haunts me and eats away at me. And for a while, I mean, that's why we kind of did our prior two records were done at Brian's place, and it was completely shut off from the industry in many ways, so that we could have full creative freedom, because it got to a point with the record Feeding the Wolves where we were being told so much of what to do and how to look and how to sound that, like, it took away the feeling of why we really do this. And it is the passion of creating music. And at the end of the day, you can't really dictate what's going to be successful. You hope that it's successful so you can keep it as a career, but you have to be able to live with what you've created and hope that you've done a good job.
I mean, for me, I want this thing to keep building, because ultimately, this is part of our lives. This is what we do. So, in a perfect world, we'd be doing this for all of eternity until we die. So, knowing that this is long term and that we've been doing it. I mean, we started the band in high school, and now we're mid-30s. I want to see longevity, and I just want to keep building this thing, and playing venues, each year bigger and bigger, and because if we can keep selling tickets, if people keep getting the records, that allows us to keep going, and for us to be able to keep going, that we have a lot more creativity left in us and a lot more songs, more stories to tell. So for me, success is the ability to keep building the brand and to keep doing this, making more records and just playing more shows.
You know what I heard, Andy?
After that,
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah. What did you say?
To add to what Brian was saying, we enjoy hanging out, and my favorite time when we're traveling is the mornings we have on the bus, just making stupid ass jokes and just laughing and hanging out, and we all come off stage, and we're still having fun up there. We just enjoy it. So
Okay, so who is the best cook in the band?
Man.
that's
There's
a good
We don't really have one anymore, do we?
I mean, Kyle's pretty good. Kyle's
It used to be Lewis way back in the day. He was always up there with the grill. Everyone just kind of does their own thing at this point or eats at a restaurant.
We got to start griddling again. We need to get the grill out.
You know, who's the best cook in our band? This guy. This guy.
I like to cook. And it shows.
Yeah. So tour is going to take you guys. You're primarily going to hang out on the East Coast. So for people watching this on the East Coast, you might get a chance to see 10 years before the end of the year. You're not going to make it out west until probably after the first of the year, yeah?
Yeah, we have plans late winter, early spring to get all the way west. Right now, I mean, we'll go middle America, but we won't make it all the way. You have to break it up into 2 legs almost.
I'm so excited for you guys. Congratulations on being back together, Brian. It's always great to see you on Facebook. We've had a nice long friendship and relationship, and I appreciate your artwork and what you do, and just you as a person. I do appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. It's great to talk to you.
The music comes out for human consumption in album form, or however you decide to get it. When?
October 27th.
Okay.
Oh wow, nice.
So we'll try and throw this video up a couple of days before that as our Halloween.
That's our Halloween. You're the Halloween release. You know, I got to make a comment about this. It's really funny because Jave gets the download or whatever. He burns me a copy so I can listen, right? So I can at least know what we're talking about. Because sometimes this is almost like a first listen for me, and I almost like that. But I've been listening to this album for a couple weeks now, but I knew none of the names to any of the songs. I had to guess. Messenger I got, Novocaine I got, but some of the other ones, this is always kind of fun because I get to come in and I get to see, that's the name of that song? Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
All he gets is the burn, and it just says cut number 1 or cut number 2 or whatever. Sorry, Brian, what were you saying?
Oh, I just said he didn't know it was Halloween themed.
I didn't know anything. I just get a little disc that I put in the car. What's that?
Said the cover of the record's a jack-o'-lantern.
All right, guys. Hey, congratulations on everything. We will see you very, very soon. Go grab the new 10 Years record on the 27th.